Welcome to More Than a Paycheck, the podcast for high achievers who feel trapped in their job but know something has to change. If your bad manager and toxic work environment have you stressed and working crazy hours, and you want an easier solution than finding a new job, you're in the right place. Let's do this. All right, y'all. Part 4 of Toxic Workplace. How do you actually create a healthy workplace? It is possible, but it takes every single one of us trying to be a part of it. I can still remember the smell of the conference room I was in. I can remember what I was wearing. I can remember the buzzing from the lights when it was towards the end of my time at Amazon, and I was new to a team, and I had rotated to that team because there was a leader there that I really liked and respected and wanted to work with. And I remember the moment I had sitting in that room with them where they told me they were going to be rotating and that our org was about to go through some big changes from the top down. The leader was leaving the company, and it was kind of a land grab what larger group within Amazon this team was going to end up sitting in. And let me tell you, the next month or two, it got ugly. It was rough. Again, we as humans don't do well with uncertainty. There was a lot at stake of we didn't know what larger group within Amazon we were going to sit in, which could affect our pay, could affect people's eligibility to work, could affect who your manager is, what your day-to-day job is. There was a lot up for grabs. And there's a lot of gossip and horrible things being said. Everyone's talking about it, where we should end up, who they didn't want to end up with, why this is such a terrible place. And here's the thing. I could see it, right? I could see all the things people were worried about and distraught about, but it was just this crazy, intense, unhealthy, everyone spiraling, everyone got it thrown, everyone under the bus. No one's really trusting each other. People are just not in a great space. And I remember I was at lunch with some friends and something just clicked. I don't remember what it was that they said, but something they said just struck me. And I realized at that moment, all of those things outside of me, I couldn't control. I couldn't control where we actually landed, who our leader was, what group we were a part of, who my manager was going to be. But I could control the kind of environment I was directly in around me because I create that environment. And if I wasn't going to choose to create it on purpose, the default environment was going to be more freaking out like everyone else. It's how we connect. It's how we get along. My brain thinks it's important to freak out and be scared and worried, but I also know my brain lies to me all the time. And at that moment, I realized, you know what? I'm going to make a purposeful effort, and I'm going to create the kind of environment I wish I had. I started being more of me and less quote unquote professional. I'm not a formal person. I try to be pretty approachable, and I just tried to be me as I went throughout my day. I would joke around with people. I would share funny, dumb things I did and laugh about it. I would be annoyingly excited about silly wins and celebrate them with people. I tried to make my team do 15-second dance parties, even though they hated it. I was not afraid to make a fool of myself most of the time. It also was easier for me to just go in on me and try to create the environment I wanted because I didn't care if they let me go. Now, I understand that's a place of privilege and not everyone's at that stage, and I wasn't always at that point in my career. But at that point, not being afraid to lose my job made it so much easier for me just to be comfortable being me and creating the environment I wanted. Did it annoy some people? Oh, 100%. But more people loved it than those that hated it. My goal through that nasty, crazy, hard transition was I want to try to create a healthy work environment. And what I learned from that and what I saw and what I tried to continue to do was a focus on 4 key things to create that healthy work environment. The first, you got to be you, and you got to not apologize for it. Now, This may mean you have some work to do because you got to know who you are, what you like, what you don't like, who you want to be, who you don't want to be. And you got to like that about you. I'm not saying you got to wait till everything's figured out and you're perfect at everything to like you, but you got to know who you are and you got to like you. That is your work to do. I always think about that scene in the movie Runaway Bride where this woman, right, she gets engaged a bunch of times, then she leaves him at the altar. And one of the guys gets mad at her, basically saying, you don't even know who you are. You don't know what kind of eggs you like. Because she would always say she likes the eggs of whoever the person is that she's with. Now, not a big deal. But the concept is, do you know what you like? Do you know what you want? If you don't like you, it's hard to create a space for others to feel good because subconsciously, if you don't feel good, you're trying to get yourself to feel good before you have enough to give to someone else. So I'd say you can't fill someone else's bucket if yours isn't full. Now, this is homework for life, right? It's healthy to question some things and have things you want to work on. But if you're not in a good mental and emotional spot, it's very hard to be someone who creates a healthy work environment around you. So get some help, go to therapy, hire a coach, do the things you know you need to do, whatever it is. But you've got to get to a point where you're comfortable being you unapologetically. Okay. It's key point number 1 to creating a healthy work environment. Number 2, quick interruption. If what you learn on this podcast is helpful, this is just the beginning. Your next step is to go and schedule a coffee chat, and we're going to dive into your specific situation. You'll leave knowing a few things you can try right away to get unstuck. And no, this is not a sales call. My goal is to help however I can. If I think coaching can help, I will tell you about it, but I'm currently on a wait list for new clients. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat and get on my calendar. I only offer a few of these a week and it's first come, first serve. All right, back to the podcast. You need to learn to let people feel however they want to feel. I was working on a team and we were trying to launch a new service and it was a lot. There was a lot of late nights and weekends and doing things hundreds of times and scrapping it and doing it again. We were making up a lot of things and there was a lot of pressure to get it right. It was pretty intense. And after multiple weeks of these late nights and very little sleep and a lot of stress and pressure at work one day, I just kind of lost it. And I started crying and I was not in a good spot. It's interesting to me to see the response from 2 different managers on the team. One manager came and took me in a room and just let me be a mess and let me get it all out. They asked what felt hard about it. They asked what was I worried about? What pressure was I feeling? They just let it be messy and ugly. They never once tried to problem solve or tell me it was going to be okay. They asked me what I needed and what I thought would be helpful, but they just gave me a place to just not be okay. The other manager asked me to come into their office and listened and did some of the similar things and asked a few questions and then spent the rest of the time trying to kind of give me a pep talk and say that they appreciated what I was doing and that it was all going to work out. And that I really didn't need to be worried or stressed and told me, just take the day, go home, get some sleep, come back. It's going to be amazing. Here's the thing. I think both of those managers meant well. But one was okay with me being a mess, and one was trying to make me feel better. The other one kind of needed me to feel okay so that I could keep working and going and keeping team morale up and delivering on some things. Now, both managers actually needed that, but the one wasn't okay that I wasn't okay. They're trying to get me to feel better. Long term, what that's telling my nervous system is it's not okay to not be okay. We need you to be happy. We need you to be okay so that you can keep showing up. Because again, I just was kind of having a meltdown and I just needed to melt down and be a hot mess for a second. Would I come out of it eventually? Yeah. Is it okay to lose it? 100%. Do we need to be in a rush to get out of it? No. Because if you don't take care of yourself while you're low and down and let yourself be low and down, you're not actually going to come up and be as strong. So I see this a lot in like toxic positive leadership where they're trying to help you and you're trying to focus on being appreciative that you have a job and not to worry that you're going to lose your job if there's been layoffs or talk about layoffs. I'm like, no, it's okay to freak out. That's a healthy, natural response. Give yourself permission to go freak out. Just do it in a good, healthy way. Don't tell yourself, don't freak out. When your nervous system hears don't feel how you feel, it starts to get louder. When we hear we need to be a team player and keep going and not be stressed, even though we're stressed, I'm like, no, go be stressed and be a team player. You don't need to be okay all the time. You don't need to be okay most of the time. Your nervous system will get louder and louder and louder if you don't allow it to feel. So if you're trying to create a healthy work environment, you just got to let people feel what they're going to feel. All feelings welcome. All actions not welcome, but you're allowed to feel whatever comes up. Creating a healthy work environment means I don't need you to feel a certain way. I'm very comfortable when you're uncomfortable because I don't see a problem with it. It makes sense. Okay. So point number 1, if you're trying to create a healthy work environment, be you and don't apologize for it. Point number 2 is let people feel whatever they need to feel. Number 3, make it okay for people to make mistakes. Let's imagine for a minute, you are trying to create this new thing that's never been done before and launch it and be really successful at it. And your success depends on the team you hire. Okay. Would you want group A or group B? And tell me why. Let's say group A went to prestigious schools. They were top ranked. They were very successful. They're kind of that person that's like always done well. They've worked really hard. Don't get me wrong, but they're the valedictorians. They're the top graduate. And they've learned as long as they study and work hard, it's going to work out for them like it has. Group B, they maybe went to like state or community schools. They were mid to lower ranked. They had some failures and roadblocks along the way. They too worked hard some of the times, and other times they were dealing with some challenges outside of life, so they were working hard in other areas. It did not come easy to them. They made some mistakes, but were quick to learn, and they've also been successful. Which group do you want? Now, the smart Alex of you out there are going to be like, well, I want a little bit of both. Sure. But if you don't have people on your team that know how to fail, eventually they will break because they will get pushed to some point where hard work no longer gets them out of it. You have to make enough mistakes and screw it up enough times until it starts to work. I think learning how to fail and being comfortable with failure is a key thing to look for in employees, but it requires you as coworkers and as leaders to create a safe place for them to do that. The goal is not to do it perfectly. The goal is not to hit every KPI and be green to every goal. Truth be told, the goal is to learn. Maybe we want to be red to that goal because we've learned some other insight that's telling us we should be chasing this other thing. The goal is to learn. The way we do this is through failure. So if you want to make it safe for people around you to make mistakes, here's some ways I'd offer you to do that. 1, share your mistakes and share them often. If you're not making any mistakes, you're playing safe, and comfort is the thief of your dreams. And I'm not talking about like dumb little tiny mistakes. Share all of them, the big, scary, ugly, nasty ones, especially. What it's doing is it's teaching people around you, oh, it's okay to make a mistake. And it's okay to talk about it because it's okay to learn through it. If you're the leader, ask your team, what have they learned lately and how did they learn it? Focus more on the learning and the insight and significantly less on the KPIs and the data. If we're hitting all of our KPIs, but we're not actually learning anything, we're in trouble. Because we all know those KPIs are going to go up next year. And if we're not learning how to do that, it's going to be rough. Reward learning and mistakes. Be an example of how to show up when you do make a mistake. Focus on the data, not the drama. I had a really strong example of this early on in my career at Amazon. I was working with a person on my team, and they made a mistake that caused a pricing error on the site and caused the company to lose quite a bit of money. 100%, this person just was typing fastly, and it was like a fat finger mistake, right? They just typed in the wrong thing. And it was fascinating to watch this person. Now, again, I don't know what was going on behind the scenes, but in all the meetings that I was sitting in on with them, they just kept talking about the facts and the data and what they learned and what they suggested we do so it doesn't happen again. And it was fascinating to me because I was early on in my career and I was like, oh my gosh, this is a big deal. Are they going to get in trouble? And this person didn't play into any of the drama. They kept focusing on what they've learned and what they're going to do to correct it so that it doesn't happen to someone else. And it was such a great learning insight. This person didn't get in trouble. They weren't penalized. This was bound to happen to someone, but this person had the wherewithal to know they're not a mistake. They just made a mistake, and that's okay. Okay. And the fourth way I'd offer to you to create a healthy work environment is to stop being kind. I want you to be better than kind. I want you to be honest and genuine and curious and bold and open and transparent. We don't want kind. We want support and comfort and safety and a healthy place to just be a mess and human along the way. We want more than kind. We want humankind. So, if you find yourself working in a toxic and challenging work environment, my offer to you this week is start being the one that starts creating the healthy environment within your sphere of influence and watch the awesome ripple effect it's going to have. All right, y'all, you're amazing. You got this. We'll talk soon. Hey, you didn't schedule a coffee chat yet. Remember, that's the next step. There's so much more I can help you with. You're going to leave this coffee chat knowing a few things you can try right now, depending on your specific situation. This is not a sales call. My goal is simply to help however I can. If I do think coaching can help, I can tell you about it, but I'm currently on a wait list for new clients. Click the link in the show notes or go to lindsaylymancoaching.com/chat to get on my calendar. I only offer a few coffee chats a week and it's first come, first serve, so don't wait. Chat with you soon.